Welcome to another episode of All Things in the Name of Love. And today I have with me an amazing being of light who I absolutely adore, Shakti Bottazzi, who's a modern day medicine woman, galactic shaman, and soul guide who helps women remember who they truly are and step into the fullness of their sacred purpose. Thank
Mm.
you. She is a Fulbright scholar, three-time entrepreneur, and former corporate executive, and she channels ascended beings of light and weaves transmissions from Indian, Incan, Buddhist, and Kuradal. I can't get that one.
Curanderos, curanderos,
Kuran, thank you.
curanderos.
Kuran lineage is into her work. She began channeling Curandeo. Uh, she began channeling in 2012 and has since developed her own healing modalities, including shamanic constellations and crystalline soma healing method. Her work blends nervous system safety, trauma integration, human design, and multidimensional channeling to guide women from spiritual knowing into embodied living. She is the author of Remembering Her, a Soul Embodiment Journey, and founder of The Awakened Path, and host of Soul Wisdom Project on the Transformation Network. I am beyond excited to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, I am so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And it was an easy yes when you said, would you? And I'm like, yes, for sure.
Yum. And a little disclosure, Shaki and I knew each other 4 years ago.
2022. So
Yeah,
yes,
so
yeah,
4 years
four.
ago,
Yeah.
kind of like that. And
Yes.
then I was in Redmond, Oregon last couple months ago, and we just connected. And it's like we've known each other we're remembering each other from so many
Yeah.
lifetimes, and just
Yeah.
so grateful that we just reconnected. And I'm so
Yeah.
excited to have this conversation. So the
Yeah.
first question I'm going to have is, tell me a little bit about your spiritual journey, because I know it's been pretty
Oh,
wild.
yeah. And that's such a wide, broad question. So I'm going to answer as succinctly yet richly as I can because I've been on this journey since I was 19 and tomorrow is my birthday, by the way. And it's 62. So it's been a while that I've been on this journey.
Um,
And it started through three tragic events in my family that happened within 18 months.
oh wow.
And it was so harsh and so rough on me that I was immediately led to inquiry about there's got to be something else. I wanted to understand why that was happening. And I was young, 19 is very young. So that led to the first teacher. That was such an amazing man. And he taught me meditation, but he also did a course. And in that course I took, I learned I had a healing hand. And I also learned that I had telepathic abilities and that they were like 10 over 10 always correct. Like he did these exams of like, I have a picture of a man and he's ill and we're going to send healing. So tune into the age of the man or person. And it's like, is it man? Is it woman? What area do you see? And I would always go like, it's a man, it's in the lungs. It's like, and it was like, yep, 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 like
Wow.
all the time. And it was so intense for me to realize that. And I was only 19 that I didn't know quite what to do with all of that. It's like, what do I do with this? Like, that's like a big deal to understand.
Mhm.
And that, led to the next teacher and the next teacher. And I did yoga. And this teacher had been in India for many years. This was all in Argentina. I'm born and raised in Argentina. And this teacher of yoga, she was very spiritual. It was yoga. And then at the end, there was always like a half-hour meditation or guidance. And I would astral travel. And she was one of my first resources to understand what was going on. She was so I love her. She's passed, but I loved her for so many years. And life is so weird. Then I became best friends with a friend in university, and I find out that this teacher was her aunt. You know how life like keeps bringing you into like it's wild, right?
Hmm.
So that was the beginning of a journey that lasted 40 years. And in the last 10 years, it's been full on spiritual journey only. Well, not only I have a family, I have children, but for the first 30 something years, I was really very much engaged in the corporate world. I was very successful in my career. I was the mother of two. I had two marriages that didn't go very well, but I have two sons that are my, love and the wind under my wings, and I now have been 17 years with my soulmate and very lucky to have found each other. And but throughout those 33 years of being very engaged with the world, the thing to highlight is that I was divided in two, and I would take time off to go and do 9 days of energy healing training, let's say, And so in that, I was called Shakti. This name was given to me many years ago by a teacher, like 25 plus years ago. And then I would come back to the world, and my name of birth is Valerie. And here I was Valerie or Valeria, depending upon the country, Italy, US. I was, in the US, in Argentina, in Italy. So I've been a little bit everywhere. And it was like two different people. And this being two different people was very painful, eventually became very painful because when I was Shakti learning with teachers in the spiritual world, I was elated. I was me. I was growing. I was releasing trauma. I was finding my soul tribe. And then I came back to the other world where I had my children that I loved, yet life was really harsh and the corporate world was really disharmonic, and was always this person with this big heart and I could see, and I was like an oddball because I had an integrity that nobody in the Fortune 500 companies that were in the stock exchange had. And so
Yeah.
it was a really difficult time for me until I came to understand that those two sides needed to merge. And I
Hmm.
began, that process, which was fascinating. And it wasn't just merging that spiritual and that practical, it was also blending. The practical was me being 90% in my masculine, and the spiritual was me being 90% in my feminine. And it was
Yeah.
like, no, I can't do this. I need to be equally flowing between them. And my feminine aspect is the creatrix, and is the intuitive, and is the channel, and is the nourishing, nurturing mother, and coach, and healer, and guide. And the masculine is my ability to operate very effectively in 3D. I'm good with time organization. I'm good with computers. I'm good with systems and structures so that my message can get out. So I
Hmm.
began to understand, oh, but this comes first. The feminine, the vertical heaven to earth connection comes first. And then the lateral frontal, from me to the world,
Hmm.
supported by the masculine structure, came in support after. And that took me several years. I want to say probably a decade to fully get it together and
Hmm.
understand how that flow is.
Yeah.
And it was in 2016 that my guidance said, you have to stop everything else that is not being a spiritual guide and just dedicate yourself for full time to this.
Hmm.
So it's now 10 years I've been
Wow.
doing only this. And in these 10 years, I I studied and did, 1 year and a half long courses with coaches to how to do this business online. So again, that masculine aspect
Hmm.
supporting, that other aspect. And meanwhile, I kept studying and studying. That is a thing that never stopped in my life, getting trained with masters and teachers in many philosophies and practices, which I now bring all together like a toolkit when I work with somebody. I don't say, oh, I'm your human design person. No, I'm
Hmm.
also your human design person because I
Right.
do this with this with this, and we apply what's needed to, whatever you're needing. So that's like a super summary of a very long life span.
No, that's beautiful because like that I remember like going through that phase of like, okay, I'm doing all this spiritual work, but like here I have this other life, and trying to like reconcile the, oh, how about I'm just a spiritual being having a life, instead of like, here's my business life and here's the spiritual life. And that realization of like, no, it's all. And
And
it's
also that the people like I know this, many people have this like almost shame that these people knew about this other side of me. It's like, no,
yeah.
they can't know, that this is,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
like
it's like,
you.
what are they going to think if they discover that I'm also this thing, right?
Right, right.
Until
No,
one
because
day
it's
you're like, no, I'm going to kick the chessboard and I couldn't care less what they think because I can't live separated like that anymore.
I completely hear that, because it's like
Yeah.
it's just this point of dissonance where like
It's impossible. These are
yeah,
like
it
you're
really is.
rejecting a part of you, which is even the more essential part of you, you know?
Yeah. And to blend that humanness within the spirituality, because like when we go on the spiritual path, it's like, oh no, we're the spiritual being and yet we're still human, but no, we're actually both.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
That
the gift.
you're hitting something that is key and that has come to be probably one of the most foundational aspects with which I support others, which is this thing of, yes, we're a spiritual being, but how does all this conversation that is being had translate into daily life?
Yeah.
That's what many struggle with. What does that
Mhm.
look in daily life? And that's the translation that I help people do. This is how you convert your life. This is how you
Yeah.
apply this. And then your life begins having more meaning and more fulfillment and more joy. And because I've been into that disengagement. So that my
Yeah.
own journey of integration is what I can help others with, as always, right? That's how it
Mhm.
happens. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Like, I came across this realization a few months ago. I have many gifts. I want to use all of them.
All of them. Yes.
I
I
don't
love
have to
that
use them all at
perspective.
the same time. Because
Yeah, but
I was like, I have to use all of them now, and then I'd shut down because I was like so overstimulated by all of the gifts I have, and I'm like, how about like when I feel like it, I can do the thing.
I love that. And you know what? You mentioned another thing that is so key, and is that I also thought, instead of thinking like you, like I have to use them all at the same time, I thought, oh, I just can use these. And then I understood that for everybody, this is true. Every single experience you've had in whatever path of life, practical, less practical, spiritual, whatever it is, all of it, as you step more and more into your soul's path, every single bit matters, and every single bit you will weave into that becoming of who you are.
Yeah.
Not one part will be redundant or not
Mhm.
needed. And that's a
I
big one.
Oh yeah, I had this because like one of the gifts I've been given in this end of Mercury retrograde, um, I had this car experience that was the worst experience ever. I've never had a Mercury retrograde this bad, ever.
Wow.
And it happened with my car, and I love my car. And so yesterday, before I found out what was actually wrong with it, I looked at the mechanic and I said, "You broke my car." And I said it with such clarity, and he just looked at me like, I did. Like just like that fear. And I wasn't mad. I didn't raise my voice. I was just like, you broke my car and you need to fix it.
You were in your
And he was
power.
like, I was so in my power, and I was like, oh, maybe that's what this Mercury retrograde was about, because like there's something, and you and I talked about this at the beginning, and I just want to tap into it because like this is so current. Something happened on Tuesday, the day
Yeah.
before the new moon,
Yeah.
that was a very profound shift, and I felt it very subtly, but I felt something just like click into place.
Yeah.
I think to get there, and I would love to hear what your understanding is of all that, because I know we are
Yep.
in a massive month right now.
Massive. I'd be glad to talk about that. As it has been said in so many different ways, since we closed the 9 year 9, 2025.
Mhm.
And we stepped through September 9 of the year 2025, which was 999. We began the closing not only of a 9 year cycle, but of a longer cycle, which started in 2012 when we began the entrance into the age of Aquarius, which activated
Yeah.
fully on the 22nd of February, 22 of the year 2022. Remember all these dates of all these
Yep.
twos and whatnot. So
Yeah.
then January came along, February came along, and those 2 months, I'm sure you kept hearing people saying, we're still shedding, we're still shedding. Yes, we're at the beginning of the year. That is at 1 year. We're in your phase, but we're not really hitting the new year. And the new year is, the horse of fire on the 17th of February when we hit the new moon in Aquarius. And so January, we all went through this completely wobbly stuckedness. I think this went across the board. Everybody felt that inability to move forth in a new year. So it was very weird for all of us because the new year is like, oh, new year, we're going to move forward with all these good things. And we were all on the couch going like, what the heck is going on? Like we can't even move, right? Like that
Right.
was
Right.
January. So February was a little bit more of that, but there was that inkling of that new moon of the horse of fire, which was February 17th. Your birthday, by the way. It's so
Yep.
interesting.
Yep.
We were connecting on the birthdays because
I
we were
know.
connecting on that day too. Um, that began, okay, something new is coming. And then on the 26th of January, Neptune entered Aries, and then Saturn entered Aries on the 20th of February. So this already, these two big planets entering Aries began, plus the new year, began softly. Of course, it's a long cycle.
Yeah.
Mercury, Neptune and Saturn haven't been at 0 degrees of Aries together in 6,400 years, 6,400
Wow.
years. Okay.
Wow.
So they start a cycle of 36 years, but on the 0 degree, they meet every 6 years somewhere, you know.
Okay.
But at 0 degrees of Aries, and 0 degrees of Aries is the beginning of the full zodiac. That's why it's so
Yeah.
rare. It's
Yeah.
like a mega reset, like,
Mm.
the light.
Yeah.
But as always, the 0.0 minute, 0 degrees, 0 minute, 0 second, you still don't feel the energy. It's like the dark
Yeah.
moon. When the dark moon is at 0, 0, 0, at the maximum expression of the dark moon, it's the full void. You have to
Hmm.
allow for a few rays of sun to hit it, even an hour later, to begin to feel the possibility of something new being birthed. In
Hmm.
fact, if you're into new moon rituals, you should know, or whoever is listening, that you never put an intention of a new moon at the zero moment of the new moon. You put it a few hours after when the sun begins hitting that new moon, right?
Hmm.
When there's life already, not in the
Yeah.
void. In the void, you release, you let go, right?
Hmm.
So here we go, and we're coming into March. So we're in Mercury retrograde, the end of February, and on 18th of March, we have a new moon. And here's the rarity. The new moon is at 29 degrees of Pisces. Always 29 degrees and 0 degrees are these anaretic degrees. These are degrees where the whole experience of whatever the sign is experienced it like maximum volume, much more than the normal
Mm.
volume. It's like an exaggeration. It's like the extinction bark around about to shift, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
here we went through a door that lasted 36 hours. The new moon was at like 7 in the afternoon Pacific time, we're talking, of the 18th. Then we had the 19th, which was a totally in between day. And in the morning, around 7 in the morning of Friday, the 20th, the sun entered Aries. So you
Mm.
had this new moon in Pisces, which was again this last first. It was the last new moon of a zodiac year. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac year. And 36 hours later, 36 hour in a year of 365 days is nothing. It's a blink of an eye, right? So 36 hours later, the sun hits Aries, beginning of the new cycle of the zodiac year. The sun in Aries is fire, Pisces is water. But in the middle of that, we have Mars in Pisces for a few more days. And Mars in Pisces is taking away all of our willingness to move forward, or all our that energy of doing things. I can't think of the right word, but Mars in Pisces was watered down. Pisces was totally taking that fire of Mars, and Mars is the ruler of Aries. So Mars has just entered Aries, I think either today or yesterday or tomorrow. It's just happening now.
Yeah.
So we're feeling okay, Mars is finally out of the water. Now the sun is hitting. Now Mercury and now Neptune and Saturn are into 1 degree and 2 degrees in Aries. And now the sun is really, tomorrow is the first decade. You know how any sign has first 10 days, second 10 days, third 10 days? So
Hmm.
we're entering the middle 10 days of Aries tomorrow.
Okay. Okay.
And so we're really feeling finally that forward movement. So the new
Yeah.
moon so Tuesday, what you felt was the last day of March, the last remnants of those energies beginning to release. And I also felt by midday of the 31st of March, I was like, oh, I can feel the shift already. I can feel it. I can
Yeah.
feel it. And yesterday in the full moon, which was in Libra with the sun in Aries, Libra and Aries are beautiful, are air and fire that feed each
Hmm.
other. And they create that opposition. It was all about relationships. It was all about me and myself, me and the world, me and all the people I love.
Hmm.
And now we're on this side, on the second, still
Yes.
within that frequency.
Yeah.
And we're really, really beginning to open up all the Aries energies. There's 5 planets here right now in Aries. It's a big, beautiful deal of a lot of energetic here, which is activating for all of humanity. We have
Hmm.
the personal planets like Mars, and of course the sun is there. And then we have Neptune, we have Saturn, we have Chiron, which is the wounded healer. So it's touching all of humanity, both in the individual, the collective, the societal. So we are feeling that, and you're feeling that like the crackling of the fire, like, oh, it's
Yeah.
beginning to finally take. Before, we were
Yeah.
like a wet fire. You know how a wet fire
Yeah.
is like sputtering, right? So
Hmm.
now we're really the crackling fire. So that was a long explanation, but I
No,
needed
that's
to
beautiful
give the whole
because like what I felt this year, it's been like this very slow burn. And part of it is like my own physical recovery from house sitting
your
for
own,
2 weeks.
yeah.
But like it's like I don't feel like one of my friends said, it's like riding a horse on a long train. So like I'm kind of in the like the slow gait space,
Absolutely.
but I'm moving.
Yeah.
And I know probably by Leo season it's going to be like a canter. And I don't think I'm going to fully gallop this year, but like definitely a canter because I'm feeling like the momentum kick in
Yeah.
and whatever old ways that were are just they're not relevant anymore.
Yeah, because all that shedding that happened was huge, and it wasn't just personal, it was also in the collective.
Yeah.
So it was a big thing. It hit us all in the best ways. It was a gift to let go of what is
Yeah.
no longer an old for you, and you don't need to carry it forth. Is a gift. You're freer,
Yeah.
you're lighter, right? And I
Yeah.
love that parallel you're doing with the galloping, cantering, walking of the horse, because it's exactly what I've been speaking to. It's like we were
Mm.
just barely getting on petting the horse, what now we're
Hmm.
on top of the horse and we're beginning to clop, 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 right? And
Yep.
and
Yep.
very soon we will feel this horse wanting to go forward. And
Hmm.
it's beautiful to know that you can begin cantering and then trotting and then galloping, right? You don't need to
Yeah.
like go full throttle all
No, I
the
mean
time.
like you're in control of the horse and so like you
Yeah,
get to ride it the way you feel
yeah,
is most
yeah,
aligned.
yeah.
But I definitely feel like collectively I feel like there's some sort of like the spark has been lit.
Hmm.
Um the fireworks haven't gone off yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
And also I use all these metaphors to explain, and people go like, "Yeah, that's exactly how I feel." So I use this metaphor of, when a rocket, which yesterday a rocket is, gone into space, and it goes against the gravitational force, and right before it hits outside of the atmosphere of the earth is when it's the worst, and it gets on catches on fire, and it like wobbles the more, and
Hmm.
tu- 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 tu. And so we are at that moment of,
Yeah.
it's, yes, finally the rocket is going, but it's not yet into that silent when
Yeah.
it's in the space and
Yeah.
it's just like floating and finally going in the direction it was sent. So just like you say, it's like, yes, the ignition has happened, and that's what
Hmm.
we've been feeling kind of in this last, 10 days of
Yeah.
Aries, but still there was all this, Pisces strong energy because the new moon was in Pisces.
Yeah.
So we kind of,
Yeah.
and then Mars being in Pisces, that's a big one. It just removes all your
Yeah.
willingness to start and do things because it's completely
Mhm.
Mars is the one that initiates, is the one that goes forward. Yes, it's the
Right.
god of war, but beyond the god of war is an initiator, is a masculine fire energy pulling us forth. And in
Mm.
Pisces, it was completely watered down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there
No,
is
I
no
totally get it.
stimulus.
How are you seeing that play out in the collective?
So there's so much to say, so much to say, and I have shows and shows talking about this for hours. But the succinct aspect is that Neptune and Saturn together in Aries are definitely the thing, and it's going to be happening for a while now, and they bring the biggest thing that's playing out on Earth at this time because it's these are planets that are societal and for from generational. For those of
Hmm.
you who don't know astrology, the planets closer to the sun, we say those are personal, like Mars, Venus, Earth, right? And the sun, of course. And then we have Jupiter and we have Saturn. Those are called societal because they turn around fairly fast. So, we see them more than once in our generation, in our life. And then we have
Hmm.
the generational planets that like Pluto that goes to 150 something years. So you are born, a whole generation for 10 years is born with Pluto in the same position, you know? So that people understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. So we have Saturn and we
Yeah.
have Neptune, which are these long planets, long, circling planets. And
Hmm.
so Neptune is taking us into the dilution of our boundaries. Neptune is everybody, we love each other, and
Mm.
this is such a beautiful thing. It's the experience of agape as a human, the most beautiful experience of love. And at the same time, we have Saturn that says, nope, rules, regulations, these are my boundaries. You don't step over here any more than you should. And where is this connection happening? It's happening at the level of the initiation of the baby of the zodiac. Aries is the baby of the zodiac. So what
Hmm.
we're seeing is a lot of change in the dynamics of relation and relatability, both from the government aspects and the great infrastructures to the individual. And we're
Mm.
all playing out this, where is the balance? Where I dilute myself completely and let you in, and where do I push you out completely? And those are the two extremes, right? It's like I
Yeah.
completely become invisible and let you fully in, I completely rule you out. And in the middle, that's where the beauty is, where I
Mm.
can let you in, but I know where it's healthy to stop that and say, up to here, it's okay. And that
Yeah.
negotiation. And that is what's going to be shifting and
Mm.
modifying a whole 36-year turnaround for humanity. And especially as then, what's Neptune will be in Aries about 14 and a half years. And Saturn will be 2.8 years. So they begin to move. And in 36 years, they will meet somewhere else. I haven't looked yet where that would
Okay.
be. But what happens is that throughout these 36 years, the shift is going to happen for the collective. You don't do a shift like that in a year. It takes some time for it to,
Yeah.
to ignite and then
Yeah.
to be played out. That's the word I was looking for.
No, I see that. And I'm curious too, because like I've seen like I know about the split, the Hopi prophecy and the split about that. And I'm seeing it with the
Yeah. You mean the
frequencies.
earth splitting, the two earths?
Yeah, the
What
two
are you talking
earths.
about? Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah, the
two
two
earths. Yeah,
earths.
yeah.
And I'm seeing it like in my own personal
Oh,
experiences. I'm
yes.
seeing like the frequency shifts because like the whole car experience, like different frequencies, very different frequencies. And I'm like,
Yeah.
ethics, do the
Ethics.
right
Yeah.
thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
we don't do the right thing. And I'm like, but ethics, do the right thing. And so like
I
and it
love
was
it.
very apparent because I talked to my real mechanic up in Portland, and he was like, no, no, ethics. And I'm like, thank you. Because it's frequency. And
Yes.
just is becoming more and more apparent. And you're either like, and I'm not saying that there's going to be like a short period of
No, but
time where
what you're
people are,
saying, yeah, I hear
but
what you're saying.
yeah,
What you're saying is frequency. When you say you're saying it's frequency, what I hear you say is you're matching a frequency. So if the frequency is off, you're going to see that. And what you did with your mechanic
very,
by talking to him or her, I don't know, in that
yeah,
centeredness, as you shared earlier, was you centered, you were fully owning that frequency of what was happening. And when you said it, they matched you because
yeah,
you were there so strongly
yeah,
that there wasn't another possibility.
yeah. And that's what's happening. And when like there's a lot of like what I've noticed in the past month, and it could be the LifeWave patches, I'm not sure what it is, but like I have gotten so much more sensitive that my discernment has gotten very heightened with all the different frequencies. And I just want to be like I want to be in my own space because it feels a little more dissonant and more chaotic outside.
I'd say you're feeling that because you're who you are.
Hmm.
I'm not saying the patches are not amazing. I'm just saying that I think you are that person,
Yeah,
regardless of
well,
the patches, is what I'm saying.
well,
But
the patches are helping me connect more deeply into it.
got it.
That's all I'm
Yes,
saying. I'm not saying
yes,
the patches have
yeah,
created some magical
yeah,
thing, but like
yeah,
I was dysregulated, and now that I'm regulated, I can
yeah.
remember myself more.
Of
So
course, of course.
yeah,
Regulation of the nervous system is key in this chaotic world.
yeah.
And the thing, you just said something so key. You said, I want to stay more in this. You went like this, like
Hmm.
yourself, because the world is what it is. So you just pointed to the key thing is we must be um, really discerning about what we allow into us into me, us being us, me being the food, the news, the friends, the hugs, the environment, everything. It's like every single thing that enters your being energetically in the mind or in the food or in whatever level of existence, because we're existing at all levels, we need to be super discerning about what we allow in. And that is the key. That's the way to keep that frequency that you're saying.
Yeah.
And my husband and I were having this conversation just earlier today at breakfast, and he was asking me, "It's like, well, but how do I do that when I live in this world and I need to know what's going on?" And I said to him, "By all means, I also read some news in sources that I trust. But then once I inform myself, I don't go into that whole narrative or, and this is happening and he's doing and they are doing and the government is going and did you see how they did this? It's like, no, none of that. You
Yeah.
take the information at the fact, the factual information, and you're informed and you can, oh, they bombed there, okay, or they did that, whatever. You don't need all the commentary that comes with
Right.
that.
Right.
And that's how you keep yourself in your energy because you're not being pulled into all of these energies of the commentaries.
I so love that you're bringing this up because I am very politically neutral because I know it's all a game and there's just
Exactly.
right. And there was a new King's protest in Mount Shasta this week, and I appreciate the intent,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter what side it's on.
No,
It doesn't.
I agree.
And so if you're feeling the dysregulation, if you're othering someone, what part of that other is you that you're not addressing?
Oh, I love what you're saying. So key because the when you're doing that, you're bringing polarity.
Hmm.
You're
Yeah.
not enveloping the two poles into the only solution, which is love for all of it. That's
Hmm.
the only way out. It's
Yeah.
the three-dimensional key. is love, as trite as that may seem.
No,
But
but it
it's the
is.
solution to every time you have black and white love, this and that love
Hmm.
is the only way in which you can avoid the polarity.
Yeah.
Because both sides are part of us. We are
Yeah.
shadow, we are light. We're
Yes.
both.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. And I see that. And like anytime I feel that dissonance, like I am othering X, Y, or Z, it's
I
like,
love it.
where am I
Othering.
feeling it in me?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like I talk to animals, I talk to rocks, I talk to trees, like not as a conversation, but
Yeah.
telepathically.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not separate from us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why would a human be?
Ah, I love what you're saying, and it's so true. And it's also true that some of us, and I don't say some of us as in we are superior, we're not superior. I was going to say a
Right.
commentary about my whole life. I was wondering because even as a child, I would have friends who I admired so much because when I was 12, let's say, they were so convinced about whatever they were convinced, right? Whatever it was. And then
Yeah.
the other 12-year-old was so convinced about the opposite side. And we learned
Hmm.
debates at school and, we learned all these things. And I always was wondering, it's like, oh my God, I must be so weak. I can never take one position because I could see both positions equally. And I
Hmm.
truly, for decades in my life, I took that as a weakness until
Hmm.
I then understood my own human design about 10 years ago when I learned that, oh, I have, I'm not going to talk technicalities of human design, but I have these things going on that allow me to always see the full picture and
Hmm.
how some other ones of us are wired in a way that we take the polarity of the fire of our beliefs. And
Hmm.
that's by design. We choose this
Yeah.
design or that design or
Yeah.
whatever, right? So finally, I'm like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. I just have this, this wiring that has
Hmm.
me not being able to take a polarity when there's an argument because I
Yeah.
can see both sides of the issue,
Hmm.
which probably makes me a great mediator because probably that's
Oh,
what I'm
yeah.
meant to be, as opposed to being a lawyer who's amazing because they can see very well one side of the issue. So it's
Right.
not better or worse. It's
It's just
just
different.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
and we're all pieces to that tapestry.
Yeah, yeah,
And for me, like I haven't gotten separations since I was little because I was talking to animals when I was little. So like
yeah,
the whole construct of like, well, they're not your friends. I'm like, but I'm talking to them and they let
yeah,
me pet them like
yeah. Oh my
maybe geese.
gosh,
I'm like,
yeah.
how are they not my friends? And
Yeah.
like I really tried to figure out the concept of separation
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
just a concept, it's an illusion.
Well, separation is the concept of 3D, right? It's me
Yeah,
and
and
the
it
other
just
part.
it can't like objects talk to me. My car, like when I got my car
I
back,
hear
I
you.
felt her and she was like traumatized. I'm like, I'm so
I love it.
I pet her today, I kissed her. I'm like, oh, you're back, baby. I'll take care of you, honey. Because I felt it. It's
Yeah.
like she's energy, I'm energy. She's just in a different configuration than I am.
Yes.
That doesn't mean
Yeah.
that she's
Oh
not,
my gosh, I love
right?
it. Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
and like I for decades I've had people look at me like, so you're talking to the animal. I'm like, well, why not?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like that whole premise of like anything being separate from me
Because you're
is just
connected to them so profoundly and so
yeah, it's just
felt experience that you
yeah,
cannot fathom that is not connected to you. Yeah.
right. So it's like when I hear separation, I'm like,
Yeah. And yet is the construct of why 3D is what it is. It
yeah,
is 3D, Earth at 3D level is an experience of duality. That's what Earth
yeah,
is. The
yeah,
night and the day, the light and the darkness, that's the 3D is the foundation,
right,
duality. So
right.
it truly is over over overriding no overcoming
Mhm.
the illusion of duality when you understand that there isn't separation, and
Yeah,
that's very freeing. And when you do
yeah,
that, you're entering 4D, and then when you're truly in the experience of agape, of love and compassion for all, then you're in the experience of 5D. And what's beautiful to understand is that we're in all of them at the same time. It's not like
Yeah.
this or that, or I'm
Yeah.
going over there. It's like we are here a little bit, then we're here, then we're here, then we're back down and up and back down. When we
Yeah.
dance amongst all of these
Mhm.
states of being, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's because
Yeah.
that's the gift of being human is like, there
Yeah.
are times where I've like, am I actually like experiencing 5D? And of course I am. I'm
Of course you
experiencing all
are.
of it, right?
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
that, that one that was like, did I pass the test? Because that
Yeah.
is so programmed in us.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
did we pass? Did we make it? Am I ascending? Am I actually
I
doing
love
this? Because
it.
I'm not really
Yes.
sure, right?
Yes.
And it's like that doubt that has been implanted in us, but the whole beingness is what really hits us. I had a beautiful friend write a story about his dad fishing and how reverent he was with the fish that he released.
Mm,
And I viscerally felt it and was brought to an experience with my dad of how he
mm,
imbued wonder into me. And that, like when we can pull back the like, and my dad was just being human. Like we were canoeing and he'd be like, honey, look at that sunning turtle on that rock. And I'd be like,
oh, wow. What a gift to have a dad
yeah,
like that.
yeah. So having but that's the mundane. He wasn't doing anything spiritual. He was just allowing me to experience the wonder he had. And when we can gift that to one another, that's where we ascend. Like when
Yeah,
we can like be
totally.
that present, like whatever it is,
Yeah.
like celebrate the like, oh my gosh. And because I had that experience on Tuesday, yesterday, a colleague of mine reached out and said, my cat just died. Can you talk to her? And she
Yeah.
came in so clearly because I had opened my heart more to the wonder.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Wow. You
Yeah.
just reminded me of when my dog passed, which wasn't many years ago, was probably, let me think, 2021. And I was working. I was in Italy still at the time, and I was working, and I was alone at home. Kids were school, university, husband was working, and I had an inkling. It was like one. I'm trying to think what time of the day. It was like 1:30. I had eaten already, and I was sitting at my computer, and I had this inkling like I had to open the door and go see the dog in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
And she was laying on the side. She wasn't dead. She was laying on the side, and I just knew, I also connected telepathically with her all the time. So I lifted her up, and which was a miracle. I remember now because I had had double hip surgery, and I couldn't
Wow.
lean down. That had happened like 6 weeks
Yeah.
before that. And miraculously, I was able to lean down and pick it up like magic, like an angel must have
Yeah.
helped me or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I brought her in,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew I had to give her energy healing. And I supposedly had a client at 2. So I messaged the client and I said, look, I can't be with you. My dog is passing and I want to accompany the dog. And she's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I will accompany the dog too. And what the beauty of that, of the many things that happened, was that first I kind of did energy healing for about half an hour. And then she kind of was breathing really roughly, right? Like, and so then she soothed, and then the guides said to me, now you have to let her be. Like, don't keep doing energy healing, let her be. Stand back and just be by her side. So instead of being like right over her, I went like to the couch over there and let her be,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in less than half an hour, she passed in
Oh,
complete
wow.
peace, which the
Mm.
vet told me is super rare. The vet said dogs, when they pass, it takes hours laboring for them to pass. So I know that the energy healing was just that, helping her pass. But the
Yeah.
beauty was that I messaged this client, she was in Mexico, and I messaged through WhatsApp, and she says, I just saw a cloud of blue, like a soul go through. And I was messaging her to say she just passed. So that was
Oh,
so profound. I tell you, I was bawling, and
yeah.
yeah, and then the rest is history. But it was so profound, that experience
Mm.
of accompanying her, because with all my other dogs and cats, I had never had that possibility. They either died in the
Mm,
wild or some other thing happened. And so I never had that ability. I did it with humans. I did it with my dad when I was very young, but I don't know. I had a different, I was more mature. I knew what I was doing. With
yeah.
my dad, I didn't know what I was doing. It was like,
Right,
wow,
right.
this is happening. I can see his soul. I have no idea what I'm doing. I was
Yeah,
19, you know? So
yeah.
it's different, right? It's a
Hmm,
different
hmm.
approach. So profound what you're saying about connecting with the cat of your friend, because yeah, these are souls that come to be with us just to be part of like angels for us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one of Christina's cats. His name is Star, and Star reminds me of a cat that I had in high school. And one day he actually came up to me, and I felt Toby, and I was like, "You look like Star, but you are Toby right now." And
Wow.
I released so much
Ooh, I'm getting chills as you're
like
telling me.
love and grief and joy, like all of it, because Toby is the reason I'm still alive.
Wow.
Like Toby is 100% the reason I'm still alive because I was overstimulated in school. Like I feel objects. So high school, 1,200 kids, been around since the 60s. I felt all of it and I had no idea. So I come
Ah,
home overstimulated, like chaos, and he just lay on my chest and purr.
of course. And the job was
And
to help your nervous
yeah,
system to
yeah,
cool down and calm
yeah.
down.
And so
Mm.
he truly was my savior. Him and Joseph Campbell.
Oh my gosh. You know, I just love what you're saying. It's like we're so connected. It's an unreal. This morning I was journaling about this.
Uh-huh.
What, who, okay, how did I ask my question in my journal? It was who and what in my life I have to thank because they
Mm,
or it saved my life. And then I
mm.
wrote the list that came.
Yes.
So Barry, this dog, came, of course, and the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull. I read that
Uh-huh.
book when I was 11, and it was like, oh my gosh, I get it because I was already like you as a child. I was that person, and that book made me understand that
Mm,
what I was feeling was okay, right?
yeah.
And then I began like this teacher, this other book, this, it was amazing. So I love that you said Joseph Campbell and Toby. Like, I love that you're right there with the question I asked this morning in my journal. It's like you're answering it before I even make it. And that's a great question for everybody to ask themselves. It's
Yeah.
like, sit for a moment one day as you're journaling or in the morning and tune into all the people you have to thank for, all the pets you have to thank for, the
Mm,
authors. For me, it was teachers, authors,
mm,
poems, books, pets. I mean, it
yeah.
was a long, beautiful list. So I had, but literally save my life was the answer, not just important to me. It's different
Right.
things,
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like you said, save
100%.
my
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Who, pets, books, things save my life. Moments where you felt so dejected and so
Mm,
lost and hopeless. And then this being was there,
yeah.
being as in human or pet or book,
Yeah.
and that gave you a spark of hope that allowed you to keep going,
Yeah.
or calmness or feeling of
Yeah.
belonging or whatever, right? Whatever that
Mhm.
was that you needed.
Yeah.
It was such a beautiful thing. This morning I was guided to do that. So I just find
That's
it
so
curious that
beautiful
you said that.
because we're connected.
Of course,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Of
yeah.
course, right? What else is
Yeah.
there? Yeah.
No, I love that because like when you feel that state of like true like deep like what I did on Tuesday, I just cried like Dad, thank you so much for like
Yeah.
giving me that gift.
Yeah.
Like that's a priceless gift. I still have wonder in my life.
Of course.
And like how many adults have that?
No,
You
not
know?
many.
Like that like there's a kitty, one of her kitties is sitting on the she's a kitten and she's just stretching and I just love seeing like that being just
Oh,
her
a
essence of just like
kitty. I want
little
kitty.
kitten. She's about 6 months old and and she just has this, I don't know if you heard it early, she was going
I did when we
yeah,
began.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, and that delight, it just lights me up and I'm like, And it's taken like because I used to mimic my cat, so like I did voiceovers, and so like does like I have
I
to
love
master
it.
her call because like
I
it's just
love it.
so. But that joy, that wonder, that gratitude is just like it doesn't really take much. You just have to pause and listen.
It doesn't take much, but it is like a quantum experience. It's like a
Hmm.
deep felt inner knowing. It's not in the mind, and
Mm-mm.
sometimes you're seeking it and you can't reach it, you
Yeah,
know? And sometimes it just opens up like you were experiencing
yeah,
yesterday or the other day, and you're
yeah.
there in this full expanded
Oh,
heart
so beautiful.
experience, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I want more of the time is just like being in that heart space because it feels so like even when it's crappy, it still feels so much better than numbing myself out.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah.
But hey, we check out, right? Because we can't check in, so we check out. So yeah,
Yeah.
so interesting.
So how do you help your clients with that? Because
Ah,
yeah.
so the thing that happens the most is that I people find me when they are feeling a profound calling about something they cannot pinpoint what it is.
Mm,
They just know that, and they are
yeah.
super unhappy doing what always made them happy. They're teachers and suddenly they are super unhappy. They were in the corporate, suddenly they can't stand it anymore. They were married, they can't stand it anymore. They were like whatever it was, it's like they're in that pivotal moment where they don't
Mm-hmm.
understand what's happening, but they know that they can't stand anymore being wherever they are, however they are.
Yeah.
And that's the moment where we have a checking call, and then there we figure out, oh, so this is how you would like to be feeling. You want, and mostly is I want to understand where I'm going, what I want to love what I'm doing. This is not longer it. I don't know what it is. All these almost existential questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then what appears very evident in the conversation is, oh, there's these unresolved parts of their life that have them feeling
Mm-hmm.
this way, and feelings of inadequacy, of feeling less than, or all the whoever, we have rejection. We all have the same,
Mm-hmm.
five, six things in our lives. So I'm like, okay, I think this is what would help you. And we begin working together. And then the thing is that I have so many techniques. I have done regression to past lives, regression to the inner child, soul retrieval, family ancestral healing, human design, astrology, so I can help you also reading and understanding at the
Mm-hmm.
level of the mind. So we work at all levels of the beings. I'm a teacher of healing, and I'm a healer. And so we work on what's needed, and we enter a path through which there's release, there's healing, clarity, but most important, the person becomes really clear in trusting their own inner guidance and intuition. The journey is about their empowerment and their being able to
Mm-hmm.
access that guidance and get that clarity and trust it, and then begin applying it. And that's when lives get transformed, and then they get fulfillment from what they're doing because they enter that new, I call it the golden path, the path of the soul, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a journey to get there. And normally the journey requires some releasing of conditionings, of beliefs that are not really the truth, but you believe them, you incorporated them,
Yeah.
and healing of trauma, sometimes trauma that is not even understood as trauma, and sometimes trauma that is real big trauma, or I shouldn't say real, all trauma is real. I should say that is recognized as trauma. Like when you have physical abuse, that's recognized as trauma. When you
Mm-hmm.
have subtle emotional abuse, people don't recognize that as trauma,
Right.
and yet it is trauma, right?
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of, so there's that healing that needs to happen. And through the healing, there's awarenesses, and the ability to connect with their own inner guidance becomes more clear. And I just love witnessing the journey of my clients. And it just fills my heart to see their lives transform, and their own co-creation become alive, and trusting who they are. It just moves me so profoundly. Thank you for asking that question.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're so welcome. Yeah, I just felt it because like I know I feel the power of the work you do in the world, and I just wanted you to just
Thank
speak to
you.
it. And then I know I'm mindful of time, but I know you recently wrote a book.
Yes, yes. So I have one published and one that's, finished. So the published book is called Remembering Her, A Soul Embodiment Journey. And
Mm.
somebody the other day asked me online, it's like, who is her? And I'm like, her, she is the part of you you forgot. She's the part of
Mhm.
you that you left behind. She's the part of you
Yeah.
you didn't honor. She's the part of you that you betrayed. And that's her. And she's
Mhm.
like, oh, so
Yeah.
it's remembering her. And it is the journey that I see my clients take and the journey I take, but
Mm.
it's matched and merged with um, um, my own examples of this is how it happened in my life. This is how it happens, and
Mhm.
this is how it played out in my life. And so
Yeah.
people say that just simply reading the book has been healing for them. Just knowing that also like I see myself in this book, and that already is
Mhm.
healing in and of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that self-betrayal, I mean, it's so many layers, like people
Oh,
pleasing.
yeah. And we're not aware we're
Expert
doing
at
it.
it.
We think
Yeah.
they betrayed us, right? It's like, it started with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all because it all comes back to us. It doesn't matter. I mean, yes, I honor all of the trauma because we've all had it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we chose to experience it so we could remember
Yeah.
how to stand in our sovereignty more.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
we created our curriculum so that we could learn what we wanted to learn so that we
Yeah.
could be doing what we're doing, right? Whatever that
Right.
is. We don't all need to be healers. We can be great wives, sisters, moms, teachers, or tax
Mm.
inspectors. I mean, really, like we're each
Yeah.
meant to be who we're
Anything.
meant
Yeah.
to be, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just love that. Like just getting back to like, what does it feel like to stand in my power? Like
Yeah.
what is my authentic self? What does that sound like? I felt it yesterday and it was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I don't really have an opportunity to show up in conflict, but like the fact that I did and just stood there and was like, okay, this is what I'm feeling and this is
Well
what
done, you. Yeah.
and like that's all it needs to be. It's like you don't have to be like, I'm gonna, you know, it can be like,
On the
hey, this
contrary, this is
yeah,
not it.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Right.
exactly
Because it
what
has
you're
to come
about
from
to explain.
love and it has to come from clarity.
Yeah. Is that is one of the most common misconceptions about what power means because power is
Mhm.
misused. We say people in
Yeah.
power, but we normally use the word power when we want to say abuse of power. We don't use the
Yeah.
word power for what power means. Power is
Right.
standing in our own feeling of self-worth. We're not
Mhm.
arrogant, we're not victim, we're just beautifully standing in the knowing that because I am, that's enough. That is power.
Mhm.
That's all that is. But
Yeah.
people think that power is like blah, 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 or we give away the power where we're like "Woo, woo, woo, woo." But the
Yeah.
power really, the real word of power is that centered, aligned state of owning all of who we are.
Mhm.
And then stating, like you did, what your need or your truth is in a
Mhm.
very non-reactive, neutral way. Because
Yeah.
truly there wasn't a reactivity within you. Because you could have used the right words and the right tone of voice, but if the reactivity would have been inside of you, the frequency wouldn't have matched and the mechanic would have felt it. But since you were
Right.
not reactive in energetic frequency,
Yeah.
everything was matching and then the universe responds instantly. And so they took ownership
Easy.
immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like all the universe does is reflect where we are.
And it's instant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's probably the easiest, hardest lesson to learn.
For sure.
Yeah.
In the end, it all comes down to that. It's like we've
Yeah.
all forgotten to feel safe being who we
Mhm.
are.
Yeah.
That's really the
Yeah.
name of it, really.
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah. We
Because we've
keep
given,
adjusting ourselves to what we think others want us to
yeah.
be, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And when we stopped doing that, I remember the first time I did it, like, and was aware of it. And the response I got was like, what was that about? I'm like, I was choosing myself. And there was like Like that. It was like that. There's this like I can't. He couldn't argue with me because he
Because
felt the
what
truth of
happens
it.
is that when you have people that are manipulative or
Mhm.
narcissistic or whatever is codependent or, not healthy in the relationships with you, the minute you stop playing that game,
Mhm.
they lose because
Yeah.
they can't manipulate you anymore. That's why
Right.
they give you that phase. I mean,
Yeah.
like I know it. I've been there too with the father of my children, unfortunately. But yeah, it's fascinating because then you break the game. It's like
Yeah.
you're no longer playing. And so there's
Right.
nothing they can do to modify that. And you're just steady and like
Mhm.
I choose me, this is me. And you're not choosing you in a selfish way.
Mm-mm.
You are choosing love
Yeah.
first and foremost and
Yeah.
a healthy expression of it. And from
Yeah.
there you begin co-creating in a different way.
Oh yeah, because it was a total like I felt the misalignment. I'm like, why am I here? I could be doing something that I want to do.
Yeah.
So I chose me in that context, and it was like it felt so liberating because
Wow.
I was loving myself more.
Oh my gosh, it is.
And
It is.
and loving self is like it's such a joy to uncover all the ways I can love myself.
You know what we say is like it's simple but not easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is really simple, but it takes
Mhm.
us a lifetime to discover it, right? And to be able to apply it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, sister, I want to talk to you for hours.
This has been so much fun. Thank you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. And I'm going to ask you the final question, and that is
Yes,
how
go
do
for it.
people find you?
Oh, easy. People can find me on my website, which is The Awaken Path. So awaken present moment, not awakened. TheAwakenPath.com. And there's all kinds of gifts for free. You can download meditations, handouts, all kinds of things that can help you in your journey. And actually, you can find me in social media as The Awaken Path, especially in YouTube and in Instagram, and also as Shakti Bottazzi in social media. So both, Shakti Bottazzi or The Awaken Path. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, your beingness, and for sharing space on the planet with me at this time in consciousness.
Mm. Thank you for this invitation. Always, always a pleasure to be playing with you.
Thank
So I'm
you.
here. Yeah.
Thank you.